There were some scenes right here just 3 weeks ago on league final night. Tip though, they are hungry for a much better result. Let's get team news now ahead of Cork against Tip with Darragh Maloney.
Thank you, Joanne. Cork are without the suspended Shane Barrett. Rob Downey is included despite an injury scare. Patrick Collins is having another fine year. The variety in his puckouts will test Tipperary all the way through this game. Fullback used to be a problem position for this team, but not anymore with the emergence of current All-Star number 3, Owen Downey. Pat Ryan has been able to name Rob Downey at centre-back, Owen's brother. That looked unlikely after his withdrawal against Clare with a knee injury. Cork have so many options at puck-out time. One of their big targets is Tim O'Mahony, who scored 2 points against Clare. Declan Dalton has been brought into the starting team with Barrett out. He played for over 20 minutes in Ennis, and the full forward line is lethal. But Brian Hayes got their 2 goals against the All-Ireland champions, and his first thought is nearly always goal when he gets the ball in his hands. So now Tipperary, Liam Cahill makes one late change to the team which started against Limerick last week. Conor Bowe replaces Joe Caesar at wing-back. The manager has called for an improvement on their puck-out and on the opposition puck-out, so there's a little extra pressure on Barry Hogan to hit his targets. Robert Doyle was one of the 4 championship debutants for the Limerick game. He certainly didn't look out of place on this stage. The entire defence did well. Ronan Marr's experience vital to the younger ones around him. And by the way, Joe Caesar not in the match day 26 at all today. Craig Morgan's work rate and graft was vital all the way through that game. Jake Morris has become another of their important leaders with his scoring ability and running power, sure to give the Cork defenders headaches all the afternoon. And Darragh McCarthy is about to play only his 2nd senior championship game. He played like a veteran against Limerick, and like Sam O'Farrell was rested for the Tip under-20s in their win over Waterford during the week.
Well, Donal Oak, there was, I'd say, anger and frustration in Cork that they let that lead slip in Ennis last week. What did we get today?
Definitely last week, I think after the game, most Cork people, including myself, even though it was a draw, probably felt like a defeat. But the more the week has gone on and the more you're reflecting back at it, in the first half, Cork were outstanding. That 12 points will definitely hurt. But situations like that, you can use them as either a wound or a weapon. And there was enough experienced men, no more so than that man there, Pat Ryan, in the Cork dressing room to try and ensure that Cork use that second half as a good lesson.
A little bit different, I'd imagine, down in Tipperary, but these restarts, as always, going to be crucial. Yeah, well, when you have your hands on the ball, you're really trying to retain possession. It's a very, very important part of the game, and I think Liam Cahill will have learned an awful lot from the league final. I mean, you see Cork here are clearly pushed up. They're not just marking men, they're marking space, and they've all the angles blocked off. They're forcing Tip to go along, and they're banking on them getting control of the ball. And here, an easy knockdown by Kieran Joyce, and Robert Downey sets up an attack, and this was happening time and time again. And you see here, you know, here's a ball going out, and you're hoping to get an advantage, but like there's no real pressure on. And watch the way Rob Downey comes through unattacked, off to Tim O'Mahony, onto Ethan Toomey. A simple point, and after having the ball in your hand, within 12 seconds the ball is back over the bar. So that was a real concern in that first half, and I suppose the first goal was the one that really set the tone for the Cork takeover in the league final. And here we had it again, you know, long puck out again onto Tim O'Mahony. The ball is delivered in quick. Alan Connolly's in front, takes on his man, and again within 15 seconds, so in less than a minute, when we had the ball in the hands of the Tipperary goalkeepers, you found it in the net. Contrast that with what's going on the other side. Cork are very much getting time and space. Tim O'Mahony is coming into the space in the midfield pocket and distributing the ball out to Cormac O'Brien, who's able to drive it clear. Tip stand off, and it allows Owen Downey to get the ball, and look at all the space. So they've gone middle, and all of a sudden Diarmuid Healy has a whole field's run into Joanne, and he runs onto the ball, and he even has time to take a look, drop it back onto the ground and tip it back over the bar. And like, if you look at that whole first half, Joanne, like Liam Cahill, I think will have studied that, especially since the match last Sunday. Cork scored 7 points from their own puck out. They scored 2-4 from Tipperary's puck outs. That's 2-11 out of 2-16 in that first half. So I think that'll be a big focus. I'm really keen to see how the puck outs play out in this first half, especially today. And in general, how different do you think Tip will be today than they were that night?
Well, they'll have to be a lot different, you know. I'm just really looking forward to seeing Cork play, first of all. I think the dynamism, the way they transition the ball, you said, you shown there, they move the ball so quickly up the field. A couple of years ago, it would have been a couple of passes over. I think Pat Ryan, his management team, done a wonderful job. So So, and the pace, that's the word I've written down here, pace. Can Tip contain that pace? That's the big question. So that's why Liam's thing on the restarts, get your hands on the ball and you have a chance.
Pace and space, you'd probably say. Liam, before we go up to commentary, he's not starting, but Noel McGrath came on for 28 minutes last week. He's going to bypass Brendan as the all-time championship appearance holder for Tipperary. He gave him his debut at the minors as well, as a 15-year-old as well as the seniors.
Yeah, when it was okay to play minor at 15, and he was came on his wing back and we were 5 points down and he turned the game and we ended up qualifying for the final and winning it. And what he's gone on to achieve in his playing career, I mean, he's iconic figure in Tipperary hurling, but he's an iconic figure in the dressing room, I think. And his 74th appearance is going to happen today. His contribution last Sunday, he just calmed things down. He was at the start of the goal. That was an important goal in the game. He got a lovely point, created a point for Seamus Kindy. So, you know, it's great. Like, when you look at the likes of players and the longevity, the likes of Noel McGrath and Patrick Horgan and these boys, these are special times in hurling, and it's great to see. We're going to see, you know, those iconic figures probably in view again today.
There is a superb piece on the website about Noel McGrath with Eamon Donoghue, which you should check out, which included the fact that for the 28 minutes he was on, he had 22 involvements in play across various different parts of play as well. Okay, Donald, we'll give the last word to you. How close is this going to be, and what's going to tip the balance?
Well, I don't think it's going to be like the league final that we saw down here a couple of weeks ago, but I do think Cork are going to make home turf count.
Okay, and it is absolutely rocking here from a Cork point of view. How will Tip handle that, do you think, Henry?
Well, I think they had the experience of a few weeks ago, Joanne, so I think that'll stand to them. And I think Tip learned a lot. You could see last week they held off some of the experience for the second half, and I think they have the bench as well, so they're going to try and keep it slow and hopefully eat into Cork's.
It wasn't the most pleasant of experiences, mind you, 3 weeks ago.
No.
But hopefully, from their point of view, they have learned from it. Let's head up to commentary then. For this, Cork against Tipperary, Michael Dignan is with Dara.
Joanne, thanks very much indeed. Yes, what a scene this is. There is very good support for Tipperary here, but vastly outnumbered, and it's just this sea of red right around the stadium. There's been a brilliant atmosphere all morning down in this part of Cork, and indeed back into the city as well. And, well, there's such a buzz of anticipation ahead of this game, Michael, isn't there?
It is indeed, Darren. Look, what a fantastic stadium. We were here for the league finals a few weeks ago. It's brilliant. I was down, walked up from town earlier on. Huge amount of Cork people. They love their hurling, obviously, and so do Tip, and Tip got behind their team. I think the performance against Limerick really would have encouraged more Tipperary supporters to come here. But we're all set for a great game. You know, the league final, I think, doesn't count anymore. It's gone. It's out the window. We saw Clare looking a bit flat. Waterford, a great win against them. Both teams had tough games last week, so, you know, there's a lot to play for this evening. And I think the one thing that Cork will be looking for is more of an impact off their bench. I think they'll be disappointed. Shane Barrett was obviously sent off. 4 of their forwards were replaced, but they didn't get that impact off the bench that you'd expect when you look down through the names there. So it'll be interesting to see. I think they will, but I don't think there's going to be a lot in this. It should be a great game.
Well, everybody around us just standing now at the moment. There's going to be a minute's silence in memory of Pope Francis and John Mullins of Castlemartyr GAA Club. John was also a member of the management board at Páirc.
Fanagin for Shasabinish Corda, Doron
will be performed by L. Marie O'Dwyer. ahead of the 92nd championship meeting of Cork and Tipperary. Tip lead 41 wins to 40. There have been 9 draws, and there's some incidents off the ball already, and the referee hasn't even thrown in the ball. Now he does. There's a Cork player down on the ground. Cork won the toss, and they are trying to defend this now. Straight through for Tip is Alan Tynan, and Tynan, has he put the ball between the posts? We haven't seen the white flag from the umpire. There's communication with referee Johnny Murphy, but that Cork player is Sean O'Donoghue. He's still down, and there are flash points breaking out all over the pitch. The 2 linesmen have had to come in, as you can see. That's Sean Stack trying to break up a incident, and they're happening all over the place. So massive tension right at the start. Continuing treatment for Sean O'Donoghue. O'Donoghue ended up on the ground before the referee even threw in the ball.
Yeah, I was just looking at the middle of the field for the throw-in. The forwards were running in, and Sean O'Donoghue obviously got a dunt. He's calling over. It's Darren McCarthy, I think he's calling over.
Yeah.
A red card.
Darren McCarthy, straight red. Oh my word. His 2nd championship game. That was before the ball was even thrown in. Now, he's been sent off. McCarthy gone. So, and then you can see that's Noel McGrath, who's come in to comfort Darren McCarthy, who is visibly upset. Well, what exactly happened? There's always a context to these things. We'll try and fill in the blanks for you, but the game, well, the match clock is running, as you can see. So, Sean O'Donoghue's okay. There is some communication with Johnny Murphy, the referee, just asking, is he okay? But Darren McCarthy has had a sensational year in so many ways, but he's been sent off, and Tip will play the entire match with at least 14. So Patrick Collins with the puck out, and now here they come. Mark Coleman, the 26-year-old, he's flying fit, and that one has just tailed wide. That would have been a blockbuster start for Cork.
Yeah, Ethan Toomey was inside him. Great catch there by Seamus Harnedy. Darren McCarthy, look, young player, didn't see a replay of what happened yet, but you know, he obviously stroked the umpires right behind him. Inexperience, he's going to be so disappointed with himself, and it's tough for a young fella like that, but he's going to have to learn from that. You can't do that.
Who's the free man for Cork? That's Tim O'Mahony. Ball squirted all the way through, ran past Darragh Fitzgibbon. Michael Breen, the Tipperary cornerback. Oh, and it's given straight to Alan Connolly. Here he comes. Connolly has support to his left. Just went one-handed, and the ball has gone wide. So that's 2 quick wides for Cork.
Yeah, we saw Alan Connolly tap him on back over his head against Clare over the bar. Went with the one-handed again. Patrick Cork maybe inside. Could have got the ball off him, but wasn't given.
So Tipperary's Alan Tynan scored a points against Limerick. Now this is John McGrath. Superb game last weekend, but this is really going to test them. A man down. Cork have gone with an extra defender. McGrath held up, and the shot on its way, and that is wide from Jason Ford. So I think everybody's a little rattled with the way the thing started.
Yeah, and John McGrath, brilliant player. Jason Ford, brilliant player. But you know, they've been on the go a long time. Just 2 of them inside in the full forward line. With the pace that Cork have in the full back line, that's going to be very, very difficult for those 2.
There is a bit of a breeze there. It's blowing into the near corner, the main stand side, down at the Black Rock end. So Cork are against the breeze. That's Declan Dalton, and that is absolutely gorgeous. Declan Dalton brought into the team, played for over 20 minutes last weekend. There's the lead for Cork.
Yeah, that's a brilliant score. I'd say disappointed not to make the team. Played a lot of hurling during the league. There's 2 more lads on the ground now. Seamus Harnedy and...
Well, the referee is going to have to try and calm this down.
Sam O'Farrell.
Sam O'Farrell, another youngster in the Tipperary attack, and it just kind of fizzles out. But it's a while since I've seen a match start that way. Certainly can't remember a red card being issued so quickly. But there are flashpoints all over the place, and this is Seamus Harnedy now, and he's going to get a yellow card. And that's why.
Yeah, Sam O'Farrell named it wing forward. He's obviously playing wing back. Alan Tynan's in the middle of the field.
So a lower puck out that's gone all the way through to Rob Downey. I just wonder, well, they wouldn't have taken a chance on his fitness, but he did have to go off with that knee injury. Pat Ryan was confident, though, that he would be fit, and that confidence has paid off. Downey is the extra player back there. This is Brian Hayes. Hayes into space. Look at Tim O'Mahony bursting through. Tip look really open. What a goal! Tim O'Mahony. Barry Hogan could do nothing about it.
Oh, what a ball. Brian Hayes, who's been outstanding for the last couple of years. What a ball across the field. Tim O'Mahony buried in the corner net. Wasn't tracked by Craig Morgan, who's very, very fast himself, but O'Mahony just left him for that brilliant goal.
So that should settle Cork down. Here's Jake Morris. Morris. That is wide from Jake Morris. Their second one. And they just need to try and play their way into this game, do Tipperary.
Yeah, they've Conor Bowen and Dara Stakelum at 10 and 12. Jake Morris in the middle, with Tynan and Craig Morgan in the middle of the field, and Sam O'Farrell back wing back. So quite a few changes from the starting team. But that sending off, I think, is rattle tipped.
Oh. Well, sometimes they do go wrong, even for Patrick Collins, trying to set up Declan Dalton. So Dara Stakelum from Thurles Sarsfield's just looking for some assistance. He eventually got it from Brian O'Mara, and O'Mara for Tip has put that one wide as well. Three of them now. So Patrick Collins, I think, for now, dispensing with the short puck out, but he's really taken a lot off the flight of that. Absolutely brilliant, caught by Dara Fitzgibbon, and he's flying. Tim O'Mahony just took his eye off that. That's Conor Bowe wearing 17, Alan Tynan, and Dara Stakelum. They need this, they need it, and they've got it. The Stars man with the point, they're first of the game.
Yeah, that's what Tip are going to have to do now with the man missed. They're going to have to look up, they're going to have a man off the shoulder. They can't just puck it into the full forward line, because that's where Sean O'Donoghue has taken up place as the loose man. And nice score there from Dara Stakelum.
Owen Downey. Out in front is Brian Hayes. Referee playing an advantage. So it's Declan Dalton trying to repeat the dose. And you can see, he's on form. That is good news for Cork, not so good for their opponents.
Yeah, and this is the thing with Cork over the last couple of years. They really start throwing the ball around up front in their forward line. Beautiful interplay there between Harnedy and Declan Dalton. And a lovely simple score, and he's had a great start, and he's switching wings, and he's very, very hard to pick up.
So Barry Hogan was looking for Dara Stakelum. Kieran Joyce there with him. So now it's Stakelum. Conor Bowe, with physical presence in that Tip attack. They really wanted to make this a huge physical battle with Cork and not let them get into their running game. We've seen signs of the running game already from Cork, the power of it. Here's Jake Morris. Morris is fouled by Mark Coleman.
Yeah, Jake Morris having a great year. That's a great take there. You watch him there. He actually switched his hands and took the ball in his right hand.
So with Darragh McCarthy off the field, Jason Ford is back on the freeze. So there is a wind helping him. As I mentioned, it's not blowing straight down the field, it's coming into this near corner. Ford's free on the way, and he has converted. So that's a good start for Jason Ford. It'll do his confidence the world of good. They're hanging in there.
Yeah, great strike by Jason Ford. Loads and loads of experience, but you can see Cork can work this short puck out now all day long and try to pick a runner then.
Owen Downey, just 21 years of age. Loads of movement. That was for Alan Connolly, but that's an important win for Robert Doyle, and Doyle is dragged back. Ethan Toomey was there behind him.
Yeah, great play by Robert Doyle. Got out in front there. Just watch a little tug of the jersey here. Yeah. Ethan Toomey. And
that wasn't little.
No, it was a bigger one the second time. The first one was.
You're right. So Owen Connolly can hit the ball a mile. Scored 4 frees against Limerick. That's on his own 45-metre line. It's not quite a mile. It's going to go wide. Now, the referee is just warning, as you look at Liam Cahill, he's warning the Cork backs and the tip forwards to stop messing around. He has his eyes on this, and the umpire's watching as well. So there's the short puck out again, and Collins belts it into a massive amount of space. There's loads of space in front of Patrick Horgan, but Tip, well, they were looking a bit open. Seamus Harnedy, and here's Dara Stakelum. Alan Tynan. Now this is belted up in the air, down on top of John McGrath with Downey. That's going to be a big battle between the two of them. McGrath hit the deck, and the referee's given a free out. There was a push on the back and into the back, and now John McGrath goes down, holding his stomach. No, the referee isn't going to take any action on this occasion. Just can't take your eyes off this. So it was just here.
Yeah, just a little bit of a slap back. Yeah. But that's the problem with that high ball in now. If there's no support there, you have to get the ball first time or it's gone.
Patrick Collins, a long way from home. That's a great catch by Tara Fitzgibbon. Wonderful stuff, Fitzgibbon. That's going to hang on and just sneak inside the post. Dara Fitzgibbon.
Yeah, and this move to centre forward, you know, we've talked about it obviously over the last while, but, you know, brilliant. 2 great catches so far, and he makes it look so easy. His range of movement, Dalton has 2 points so far, Dara Fitzgibbon another one, and then Seamus Harnedy very involved. So that half-forward line very influential so far.
So Rob Downey is in a good position just to sweep up behind, and he's done that effectively. And now they move the ball, and Tim O'Mahony in space. The Cork forwards all lined up in a sort of spine shape. Here's Patrick Horgan, 36 years young. Horgan is through. Goal! He really wants that medal this year. 84th championship appearance, and Barry Hogan beat.
Yeah, but his anticipation for that was unbelievable. Little like sold that you can't be sold like that. But look at this for a finish. He had Alan Connolly inside as well, but he knows he doesn't need the pass from there. It was his movement off the ball. He knew the ball was going to come in behind, and that's what he does so well, better than nearly anybody in the game.
So Cork win the Tipperary puck out. Sean O'Donoghue. Now he spotted something, but it wasn't where he wanted to put the ball. Owen Connolly. Oh, was hit very strong at Owen Connolly, and Horgan pounces, and here they come again with Brian Hayes. Hayes, difficult angle, very tricky angle. That's a point though.
Yeah, and it's hard enough to play against this Cork team with 15, but you know, you can see the space that's there. Tip struggling to win possession from their puckouts. Liam talked about it beforehand. It was always going to be a factor in today's game, but with the man down now, Rob Downey just sweeping around. He's not a man you want on loose ball. His delivery is brilliant, and it's looking tough for Tip already after only 13 minutes.
Yeah, the red card changed everything before they could even get into any sort of rhythm. Rob Downey. Well, there was pressure on him, contact there, but Mark Coleman was brave, and Coleman has been penalised for throwing the ball.
Yeah, the ref was right beside it there. You can see it there clearly through the ball, and there's a couple of things that the referees have been told to look out for the last couple of weeks. Steps is one. Saw it last night, I think, in the football. It's been picked up on. I think the idea is that in the football that it's, you know, it's open enough as it is, and without that, but steps and the throw in hurling and the head-high tackles, they're the 3 big ones for the summer.
Cork's 2 goals and 4 points, by the way, all from play. Jason Ford on the free, right on halfway, and Ford converts. So they've 3 on the board now. So that hangs up for Seamus Harnedy. Oh, he's brilliant, Harnedy, shooting from 45. That's the sort of stuff we saw in the first half, particularly last week, and this is what they're capable of.
Yeah, but the bravery of that, Dara, you know, he's gone into a gap there. you know, he could have got absolutely clattered there. He didn't care. That's what he brings. He's a warrior. Brian Hayes was inside as well. He wasn't happy, didn't get the ball over the top because they're creating that space. I just think Tipperary, they should maybe leave Sean O'Donoghue free for the puckouts. They're leaving Rob Downey free, and he's causing all sorts of damage with his deliveries.
So try and mark Downey. Here come Cork again. Ball played up towards Alan Connolly. Owen Connolly is his marker. Great bit of skill from Alan Connolly. And they start shifting the ball around real quick. And look at Patrick Horgan. Didn't seem to be any power in the way he made contact with the ball. Just like a sand wedge, chipped it between the posts. They're moving again. Yeah, Connolly did really well here. You know, took the hit here, threw it back outside. But like the interplay between all the forwards is fantastic. And I think that's all. Alan Connolly, the only forward not to score from play so far. The puck out really telling, and it was the area, the tip puck out, and when they were defending the opposition puck out that Liam Cahill spoke about in the aftermath of the game last week against Limerick. Now it's Dara Stakelum. Now there is some space. Here's Craig Morgan. Morgan takes on the shot. He never got any power in it at all, and that was comfortable for Patrick Collins. Morgan could feel the Cork players surrounding him, had to get rid of it quickly. Every time they come forward, though, you just think they're going to score. Fitzgibbon arrived like a train, and now he's got in around the back. Brian O'Meara trying to get near it. Fitzgibbon, an assist this time perhaps, is it? And the ball's in the back of the net. Goal given for Alan Connolly. And that's the difference. Craig Morgan had the opportunity down the other end. Look at this beautiful ball across from Fitzgibbon. Where he was found, it was going to be a penalty. But Connolly regained his composure just to flick it in. Now all 6 Cork forwards have scored, and you know, 3-6 in the first 16 minutes. Yeah. This is going to be a long afternoon for Tip. You can feel it already. Yeah, you do. You get that feeling. It could get really ugly from a Tipperary point of view. So now the referee
giving a free in. Yeah,
he's given a free in for Tipperary. Right down at the other end of the field, Barry Hogan's had to puck the ball all the way down to find Jason Ford.
But I was saying there, you know, Craig Morgan broke through. He should have kept going. John McGrath was inside. They had a 2-on-1. But as you say, he could feel the pressure of the Cork defenders, but he had more time than he. And next thing, if you put it dead, you get a chance to reset. If you keep the ball in play, Cork are going to destroy you with that move. But their forwards, again, like they did against Clare in the first half last week, they're absolutely brilliant.
Do you think we'll have a go here? Sure, why not? A quarter of the match gone. Everybody's back on the line. Jason Ford, it stopped on the line. I think he was right to have a go. I know he didn't convert it, but they're so far back even already. Why not have a go?
Rob Downey is still down there from the shoulder he got coming out. He got a hard hit.
Yeah. So Pat Ryan may have to make a change for that. I think Rob he certainly seems to be badly hurt. Johnny Murphy, the referee, just coming down to check on his status.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything in it. He was coming out with the ball, hand pass. I think it was maybe John McGrath hit him with his shoulder.
So this is the penalty.
Yeah, stopped by Owen, Owen Downey. Yeah, now just watch here, coming out.
He did take a heavy contact. And Rob Downey has to leave the field until the next break in play.
Well, that knee was heavily strapped last week. This is higher, this is a dead leg type injury. He won't be coming back on, I'd say. There's no need there. I'd imagine exactly. 12 up. Cormac O'Brien had a very good league campaign. He's been out injured.
They're going to go to Ger Mellerick.
Ger Mellerick, yeah. Well, he played very well when he came on. Well, he's in trouble.
Yeah, I know. But as you say, Michael, there's no point in taking a risk with such an important player for them. So, Ger Mellerick, who also came on against Clare, is in. Alan Tynan with the line ball. It's run all the way across to Jake Morris. Then picked up by Sean O'Donoghue. And Jake gets his shot away. and gets the score.
Yeah, lovely score. That's the first time Jake has got on the ball. You know, Cork so mobile at the back, and having that extra man, it's you know, it's just allowing them to break the ball away from the likes of John McGrath, Jake Morris, and the spare man picking up the break.
Rob Downey still hasn't made it back to the Cork dugout. They are taking great care with him. Now that is Brian Hayes over the top for Seamus Harnedy. Harnedy just pulled on that first time, but it's repelled back out the field. Tynan had to get rid of that really quickly. John McGrath in a foot race, which he's winning with Owen Downey. McGrath gets the ball into his left hand. Now they're bursting through. Here they come, a goal chance! Oh, that's a brilliant save from Patrick Collins. How did he do this?
It was Sam O'Farrell. What a ball by John McGrath, first of all, over the top. What vision. And a great save, but he should have probably kept going, you know, and made sure of it. Take a few more steps. Yeah. Hit it from a long way out. He brought it in another 2 or 3 yards. He just finished it. Great young players, Sam O'Farrell, but a great save. Credit there to Patrick Collins.
Just kind of improvised with the way he batted the ball towards Patrick Collins. So they have a 65. There's been so much for Liam Cahill and his management team and the team out in the field to deal with since the red card. So the applause is for Rob Downey, who has made it back to the Cork dugout. Jason Ford with the 65, and he's missed it. And they need everything to go over. 5 wides they've hit now. And there's Rob.
Yeah, he's in big trouble.
Sure is, yeah. Mark Coleman. Again, the movement from the Cork forwards. Silky, Brian Hayes. Patrick Horgan. Back out the field. On its way from Ger Mellerick, and Ger has put that one wide. Ronan Marr off the quick puck out from Barry Hogan. Now the referee has been hot on this holding by the Cork defenders. So free in to Tipperary, and they will score from here. So it is Owen Downey. And the referee just telling him that he was holding off the ball. So have a look at it. Yeah, the ball a long way from getting there when the foul first occurred.
Yeah, silly from Cork, you know, when they have the extra man back there, all they need to do is break that ball away, pick up the break with the extra man, but Jason Ford won't say no, and he'll tap it over.
And that has been converted by Jason. It's a long way back. Sean O'Donoghue. It's gone over Ronan Marr's head. Seamus Harnedy, Declan Dalton. And Dalton is off the field of play, but the referee said he was been pulled back. Free in. Their total of 3-6, all from play. So this could be a first converted free for Patrick Horgan. Again, going through that familiar routine, just brushing the grass with the studs.
Not an easy one to start with.
No. And that wind is against him as well. Tricky breeze here. That's beautiful. He kept it underneath it.
Makes it look so easy.
He sure does. So Barry Hogan's puck out made it to Owen Connolly. Sam O'Farrell from Nina Era Oak, his debut championship season. Now here we go with Craig Morgan for Tipperary, and Morgan steadies down, didn't take it any further, could have had a goal earlier on, gets his point now. Now here they come again. They've got 3 out of the last 4 points in the game of Tipperary, but they'll have to work a bit harder for 4 out of 5. Brian O'Mara That is Brian Hayes, who wasn't giving up. Craig Morgan. Now Morgan is in trouble, and Morgan held onto the ball too long. You could just see it happening, couldn't you?
Yeah, and that all came from when they looked up the field. There was nobody inside the 45-metre line. There is now one or two have got in there, but there was no one in there. Lads were looking up, nowhere to play the ball, and great pressure by Cork. You'd have to give credit as well.
So Patrick Horgan will take the free. And Horgan converts again. So Liam Cahill's team really under all sorts of pressure. Alan Tynan just had to wait half a second longer than he would have liked, and now this has just gone in long, way long, in towards Jason Ford. 2 against 1, and the ball has gone wide anyway.
Yeah, there was just too much on it with the wind. It needs to be, you know, a little bit easier of a delivery, a little bit less on it, but Cork, you know, they've probably taken their foot off the pedal a little bit there since Rob Downey went off, and just going through the motions a bit, but they're happy enough just keep the scoreboard ticking.
When you look at the scoring chances and the numbers that have been converted, Tip with more chances created, but well, the 3 goals is a bit of a killer, isn't it?
It is, but they've hit a few bad wides too. You know, they've battled away, in fairness to them, but look, they're again just poked away, and Mark Coleman, you can't give him that sort of ball.
Seamus Harnedy off Mark Coleman's pass. There was pressure put on him. Sam O'Farrell. Barry Hogan. So that's going to drop into some space. But Ger Mellerick in a good position. Conor Bowe there, and now Jake Morris. Jake for Tipperary. We're right behind that, and it's a glorious point.
That's a great score. The running that went on off the ball there, we were able to look down, and from here Jake Morris definitely ran 50-60 metres just to get himself into a little bit of space there, and Barry Hogan put it in there, and it worked a good score.
So Patrick Collins tries to set up another Cork attack. What a catch for Brian Hayes, all 6'5" of him. Declan Dalton, that's tight, it's just wide. But the speed that was all done.
Yeah, Brian Hayes, like, he's just in the air, on the ground, everywhere. He's just so good. He's a powerful man, but he's a beautiful hurler. And you know, you can see Hayes encouraged him to play it inside of his room, inside in front of Patrick Horgan there.
So Barry Hogan going long again. That was John McGrath down there. Tim O'Mahony left the ball after him. Mark Coleman, Kieran Joyce and Declan Dalton thought about it, decided against it. Here they come again. Alan Connolly. Connolly from 40 metres away. He's missed that. And they have gone sort of sloppy.
Yeah, got a little bit flat. You know, you'd expect him to take on his man there. You know, if he took his 3 or 4 steps, he was into space.
Now, Seamus Harnedy, that tackle was right on the edge. The timing was a little bit off. Hayes gives it back to Connolly. That was almost like a rugby tackle. The referee's given a free in. This was tight as to whether or not it was in the square or not. So Ronan Marr, the referee, wants a word. So
it's going to be yellow.
There's going to be a card out from Johnny Murphy for Ronan Marr. So that was Connolly on Seamus Harnedy. Ronan Marr needs a new stick, which he's got. So Alan Connolly just having to put the boot back on. Patrick Horgan is going to take the free. Just over 5 minutes to half-time, a match that was altered dramatically with a scuffle, several scuffles off the ball, but one that led to a red card for young Darren McCarthy, who left the field visibly upset. He couldn't believe it either, but Johnny Murphy and his officials, they had no doubt they were going to give him a red card. And from that moment, it's been a big uphill battle for Tipperary. So Páirc Corgan is ready, finally. So Corgan takes and converts yet again. Last 3 points for Cork have been 3 Páirc Corgan frees. Once more a long puck out, 3-9-7. That is a Tipperary free. Jake Morris,
yeah, just said, sorry, Darragh, just saying on Jake Morris, he's really, you know, putting it up to Cork, in fairness to him. Like, he's making huge runs off the ball. Great puck out again by Barry Hogan, and he got his body in front of Jeremy Elric and forced the foul. It's a great play again by Morris.
So it's Jason Ford. Ford has hit that one between the posts. So the umpires were, and they wanted to make sure. So they roll on to 8. So a Tipperary goal before half-time would be most welcome for them, although they take another point from Jake Morris. That one is wide, though, and they've hit so many wides. That's 7.
Yeah, when you're down to 14 like they are, you know, if they scored 3 or 4, then they're easy chances for the likes of Jake, and they could have a few more points on the board easily.
Now, you know that, well, Liam Cahill, he's a proud Tipperary man, and these are a proud bunch of players. They will do everything they can to try and get closer to Cork in the second half, but Cork and Brian Hayes on fire up front.
Look at the hand again there, Darragh. Like, that's some take. He makes it look so easy and turns inside. He's unmarkable the way he's hurling.
3-10-8. There's the free man, which is Mark Coleman now. Ger Mellerick. And he's been done for too many steps. Well, actually, it's not too many steps. The referee has just told Ger Mellerick that he was holding on to the Tipperary man.
Yeah, you watch it here. The ball was well left there initially, missed by Mark Coleman. Mellerick gets it here.
So have a look. Oh. Didn't really clear it up, but
it didn't clear it up. The ref is closer.
That's fine. Yeah.
He was maintaining that he looked for the free, that he was holding the hurl on the way out. I don't know. No, I think it was harsh enough.
Jason Ford scores again.
And you can't fault Tip's work rate there. No. You know, like the 3 goals were scored so early on in the game, to send it off, and you know, they're working really, really hard.
3 goals, 6th, 13th and 17 minutes for Cork. Here's Seamus Harnedy. That's exhibition stuff from Harnedy.
Yeah, that's a beautiful score. Look at that first touch again. That's what gave him the time. If he had fumbled that in any way, he was closed down. Brilliant first touch, and the stroke away before he could be closed.
So now, Barry Hogan once more goes long to that right half forward position. Ball breaks loose. Seamus Harnedy fresh aired at it. That's a good pick-up by Conor Bowe. He's a real strong player, but he's taken too many steps. So Conor Bowe penalised here. Just Tim O'Mahony had a tug back at him as well.
I know he could play the ball.
Mark Coleman trying to spread out the attack. That's wonderful from Páirc Corgan. What a touch. Oh, he deserved a point. Tipperary would be delighted he didn't do it. That's probably the easiest chance he's had all day.
But he's brilliant at ghosting away from his man, and then when the ball was held up a little bit in the wind, he just had that beautiful first touch.
Owen Connolly from Cashel Kincormac's, and Connolly has hit that one wide.
Yeah, like they're pot shots.
Yeah. We're hearing there will be 3 additional minutes. Kieran Joyce for Cork all the way up to Brian Hayes. Ball just hopped in front of him. Declan Dalton, they're moving again. Darragh Fitzgibbon, oh, he's overdone that. And despite that total of 3-11, you know that Pat Ryan will be talking to the Cork players about some sloppiness. There's been some sublime moments of magic, though. He's given a few for Cork, and there's another one from Seamus Harnedy, the 33-year-old, an all-star last year. Brings them on to 3-12.
Yeah, last week it was his first game in a long time, you know, a little bit rusty, but today he's back to his best. He's contributed, apart from the 3 points, he's been involved in loads of other scores, and his work rate's phenomenal.
Well, that just sat up nicely for Jason Ford over the shoulder. Ford has given that absolutely everything, and that's one of the points of the day from Jason Ford. So they get on to 10. This is really lovely.
Yeah, what a great player over here. Look at the wrists there. Look, he just trusted himself, hoisted in the air, used the wind and curled it over.
Patrick Corgan. Again, runners all over the place. Declan Dalton, yet another score. They love it here.
The handling of the Cork forwards, you know, is just so impressive. First time, Patrick Corgan. That's what gave him the room, and he just gave it to Dalton. 3 for Dalton, 3 for Harnedy, 1 for Fitzgibbon, 1-1 for Hoggy from play, a goal from Connolly, and 2 from Hayes. They're all just clicking lovely and throwing the ball around.
Rona Marov to Jake Morris. Well, it ran away from him. Mark Coleman picks up the loose ball, and now Kieran Joyce. The space is closed down in front of him. Craig Morgan made up a lot of ground. Again, even though the scoreline looks bad, you know Tipperary will not give up. Liam Cahill's teams don't do that. Now, Tim O'Mahony running right down the middle. The Tip defence converged on him. Declan Dalton, slick handling again. Dalton left the ball after him. That was good play, important from Sam O'Farrell. And then it's launched up long towards John McGrath, claiming he was held. The Tip fans certainly made their voices heard on it, and he was being held. It's a free in, and we've another flashpoint. I thought we were done with those. So now, the referee a couple of minutes ago just warned, he said several of the Cork defenders had been noted. So next time it's going to be cards, and there's a yellow card for Owen Downey.
Like, it's a simple foul, but it's persistent foul, and he did warn them. You're right, he warned Mark Coleman that quite a few of them were in the book for ticks. So consistent on that all through, you know, which is good to see. There's a lot of pulling off the ball in the Clare Cork match last week.
Jason Ford accepts the gift. 3:13 to 11. It's still a long way back.
You just get the feeling there's more goals in Cork if they need them,
if they want them. Seamus Harnedy, Tim O'Mahony. That was too casual again. And Sam O'Farrell is getting through a mountain of work for Tipperary. He switched over to this side now, having been over the other side a little earlier. So that was a high challenge from Declan Dalton.
Yeah, and Pat Ryan won't be happy. The last 2 plays overplayed the ball, you know, lost possession twice when they were in good positions.
So the first half, the 3 minutes are done. This will be the last action of the first half. Jason Ford for their 12th point. And he's converted. And you know, they've hit 7 wides as well. So there's the whistle, the end of the first half. It started with a red card for Tipperary's Darragh McCarthy. Cork hit Tip for 3 goals in an 11-minute spell from Tim O'Mahony, Patrick Corgan and Alan Connolly. Tip have battled away. They've tried their best, but Cork are in control at half-time. 3:13 to Tipperary's 12 points. Back in a couple of minutes.
For more great shows, go to the RTE Player app on Sky.
Cork can be dangerous against 15 men when they're playing for at least 35 minutes against 14. They can be absolutely devastating Mind you, a certain Tipperary man in studio thinks there could have been a bit of showboating going on at Páirc as well. But they have opened up a fairly big lead, 3-13 to 12 points at half-time, and Tip down to 14 for the remainder of the game. Now, Liam Sheedy did point out the importance of restarts. Well, Cork have scored 2-2 from Tipperary puckouts there. But Henry Shefflin, this game obviously hinged on what happened before the ball was even thrown in. Darragh McCarthy sent off. You've looked at it very, very closely. It's a big call to send a player off before the game even starts.
It's a big call before the game starts, as you said. So, and we've watched it, you know, there's some discussion on it. The first thing I'll say is that, look, to be fair, Darragh McCarthy's had a wonderful year, young player, but there is striking action here. And as well as that, I think Darragh was so hyped up. He was the one who kind of instigated. You know, a lot of times we see defenders come out and hit the forward, but Darragh actually went for him. He was so hyped up. And I said, at this stage now, it's okay, but then there is might be action. And what we can see is the top left on the screen. It's Nicky O'Toole as the sideline here. I don't think Johnny Murphy sees it. You can see him reaching to his mic to tell Johnny this is after happening and striking action. And by the letter of the law, you know, we've spoken already in this programme about defenders hitting the ground too early. There is striking action there. But look, to be fair, that chap is going to learn a massive amount. He's had a wonderful year. It's so disappointing for us all to see a player so upsetting for the crowd and for the whole occasion. But look, the rules are the rules.
Any argument from a Tip point of view?
No, it's not. I mean, like, that's the problem with adrenaline. When it takes over, like, it kicks in. You can imagine, like, after the last day, Tip were really keen to come down here, and we've probably seen it in every championship match in a lot of championship matches I've watched so far, Joanne. There's always that first few minutes. If we take Limerick and Tip last Sunday, there was a bit of a getting to know you. But if you cross the line, and unfortunately, if there's a hurley movement or a strike in action, you're in trouble. But I do feel for Darragh, because he's an exceptional kid, and as you said, it's a tough learning experience for him. But I mean, it's hard enough to play. Like, you'd want 16 again, that pace that's in the Cork team, so to try and play him with 14 is some tall ask.
No, and Noel McGrath tried to comfort him, obviously, as he walked off the pitch as well there. Cork immediately pounced, didn't they? Yeah,
credit to Cork. They can replay what's in front of them from an attacking point of view, almost starting off where we saw the first half and the National League final. Every ball that's gone into Brian Hayes, every ball he seems to be winning out in front, going with his hand. This was an excellent pass, but you can see it here. The minute that Craig loses Tim O'Mahony, you're in big trouble. It's a classic move. Midfielder like Morgan is watching the ball. He's not watching the play. Tim O'Mahony can see him, see the gap opened up, and it was a brilliant finish by him.
You were itching to say something. I know Liam was coming in, but I could see that Henry was itching to say something.
I just wanted to say something. If you see, Don Lowe highlighted two other forwards, Seamus Harmony and someone else, you constantly talked about forwards moving. They moved out of the way, create the space. And no difference around here.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I would say, you know, this Tipperary full backline, they've been very good all year at you know, really going beside the man. And I think there's too many times, we're watching it here, we have a great view here, there's too many times where there's separation, and I mean, they're using it. You watch the way Alan Connolly just blocks Mikey Breen's run there, and all of a sudden Patrick Horgan has that space, and he just takes that one step, and I mean, what a wonderful finish, you know.
That's poor defender.
But there's a bit of truck and trailer going on here, Joanne, which you can't do with this Cork team. You've got to be up, and you've got to be upside them.
And I just think this is Cork in full flow. Fitzgibbon is absolutely wonderful. Just the brilliance of his team pass into Connolly, and Connolly could have easily stayed on the ground. He's thinking, no, we want to score goals, and that's the way Cork are. Just everything is about, let's get the goal, let's get the ball in the back of the net and go again.
But again, Hayes was that link man there out in front, winning that ball, taking it with his hand and giving an excellent pass on to Fitzgibbon. Like, Hayes has been unbelievable in terms of his contribution, lads, in every way.
But I think what Liam is saying, I think most teams now are spooked by Cork. They're fearful of them, so you're afraid they're going to get in behind you, because the minute they get in behind you, they're gone because of the pace. But the problem is they're getting out in front one, and then they've the runners coming off the shoulder.
You do wonder how many people are predicting if there's going to be another one of these big comebacks in the second half. It's looking unlikely, but who knows? It's coming up.
For more great shows, go to the RTE Player app on Sky.
Would you believe we're already into provincial football final territory next week? 2 counties looking to extend long winning streaks. It's Kerry going for 5 in a row in Munster, and Galway on the hunt for a 4th straight Connacht title. And it's Clare and Mayo once again trying to stop those trends. We're live for the Munster and Connacht football finals next week from 1:15, and tonight you can see highlights of this weekend's action across both codes with Jackie from 9:30. And I'm so glad that Henry Shefflin pointed out that the last time he was here in Páirc, Chaoimh, a certain Tipperary team had a huge lead over Limerick at half-time, and he said no chance that there's going to be a second half comeback. Where can Tip improve this time to make sure that that's a possibility again?
Well, the one definite that they're going to need, Joanne, is they're going to need goals. And to be fair to them, they've been more efficient with the amount of possessions that they've had in the first half. But this here from Craig Morgan, he needs to carry it on. He needs more of a killer instinct. It was a handy one for Patrick Collins. This was good. We saw Sam O'Farrell through. He probably again almost consistent with Craig Morgan there. It was nearly too early, but it was an excellent save from Patrick Collins. Out of interest, like Tip have had 32 possessions and they've got off 23 shots. Cork have had 38 possessions and only got off 23 shots as well, which tells its own tale, and that Cork have nearly been too casual when they've had more chances.
But again, this is the space I'm talking about. Look at the gap there is, you know, that Patrick Horgan is allowed the space. He's got options outside. He's got a player coming off his shoulder. I mean, some of this is just that little bit too easy, because like I would say that, you know, one of the most impressive lines since in Liam Cahill's team this year has been the full back line. And I just think that when they've gone the man down, they've sort of reverted to just letting Cork get the ball. And if you let that inside forward line get the ball, you're going to pay a price. And again, like Tip had 7 or 8 wides in that first half. So, like, in fairness to them, a man down, there's aspects of their game that you'd really like about them, but they're going to need a massive second half performance to get back into this game.
Were Cork showboating?
I don't think they were showboating, but I think they got very careless and very lax. You know, I don't think this Cork team can do that. But I would say, I think Pat Ryan would be saying inside, we should be 318, 319. You know, there is time. All they need to do is keep taking over the bar now.
The showboating one's a bit harsh in Cork, right? In fairness, they've been excellent in most aspects in the first half. What you can be guaranteed is that Pat Ryan is reminding Cork of not very long ago. Cork were more in the lead, and we saw how that finished up. So you'd like to think Cork would come out with that killer instinct now and actually want.
But isn't it hard though? Look, we're all in the studio, we're a bit deflated, the crowd outside is a bit deflated, so it just kind of gets sucked into it.
It is, but the score difference could matter in the end of this competition here, especially after the draws.
Just before we go back in a word, Henry, you're brave enough to say that Tip no way back this time?
I am this time, yes.
OK, back to Michael and Dara.
Thanks, Joanne. No changes to either team for the start of the second half. Attendance here at Super Value Páirc Chaoimh, 42,231. Now that's Patrick Horgan out in front of Owen Connolly again, and Horgan is back at it, isn't he, in the first few seconds of the second half.
Yeah, I was just going to comment. Ethan Toomey had quite enough first half, won that ball there. Patrick Horgan's movement again out in front, just a little swivel and away from his man and over the bar. Lovely score.
So Jake Morris for Tipperary, and he's helped out by John McGrath. Dara Steglum can't get there. Instead, it's Mark Coleman for Cork. Patrick Collins under pressure and pulled back by Conor Bowe. He just couldn't resist.
Yeah, and Mark Coleman has gone into the sort of spare man role. Like, we all know how good he is on the ball. We know how good he is on the ball, and it's just Tip just don't have the options up front. Apart from Jake Morris, you know, the rest of the forwards, just too much to do. There's 2-on-1 all the time.
And Ger Mellerick is totally free for Cork. He's going to have a go, is he? No, sending that in low. Hayes put the stick up there, and the Tip defence able to sort it. Owen Connolly sets them going forward. Craig Morgan, John McGrath. That is Conor Bowe. A Tip goal at the start of the second half would just make things a little more interesting. Jason Ford and Sam O'Farrell, and O'Farrell is dragged back, so it's a free in for Tipperary. So Sam O'Farrell tackled illegally. So Jason Ford 7 place balls in the first half.
No, I just think it's one aspect Cork want, going forward, sharpen up, and they're giving away an awful lot of frees, and a lot of them are very, very soft. There was no danger there, really. Plenty of men back, particularly when you have the extra man today. That's 8 frees now, I think, that Jason Ford has scored.
The Cork have given away 10 frees. That is really, really nice. Not a huge amount of pressure on Dara Fitzgibbon, but you know what, over on that line you've still got to do your stuff, and he did.
Yeah, but look at the first touch again. Dara's fantastic, and he took his steps into space and going away from the goals towards the sideline. Great finish.
Now this is a huge surge forward from Owen Connolly. Loves to do that. We've seen him do it quite a lot this year. Jason Ford scored one exactly like that in the first half. It's another beautiful score from Jason.
Yeah, that's a great run forward. Beautiful. Again, just hit it, just dropped it down under his knee, and lovely strike, curled it actually over the bar.
Dara Fitzgibbon. There's a long hand pass. This is Kieran Joyce changing the angle of the attack. Alan Connolly just let the ball skip up. Robert Doyle is the Tipperary defender behind him, and Doyle not giving up. The young man made his debut the last day against Limerick, his championship debut, and that is Tipperary possession. Brian O'Mara. Ronan Mart did well to just do something to that ball to change the trajectory of it. Here's another big surge forward from Michael Breen. They're getting a lot of space down the middle. We've seen Connolly go forward and then Breen do the same thing, but there's no change for Tip out of Niall O'Leary or Sean O'Donoghue. Oh, now Alan Tynan, the challenge, and the referee is going to get the card out. It's going to be a yellow card. So this is what happened. Kieran Joyce felt the full force of Alan Tynan's challenge. Yellow card. Johnny Murphy just saying the contact was made with Kieran's chest.
Yeah, we saw Alan Tynan sent off against Kilkenny in the league, where he actually missed the man completely.
That's right.
He was sent off, but it was a question of intent or whatever, you know. Yes. But again, I think sensible enough there. He kind of half checked him in the chest, maybe just caught him a little bit under the chin. You have to be careful in those instances. Like, players have to be very, very mindful going into those tackles.
Declan Dalton inside his own 65. There is a wind helping. He didn't need us. That cleared it by some distance, didn't it?
Yeah, and he's some weapon to have on those long frees. We saw it last year, you know. And it saves Patrick Horgan coming out too far as well, you know, saves his energy, stay inside.
Yeah. It's the marginal gains and the marginal saves. Here is Declan Dalton. Just flicked that in, generated great power. Alan Connolly denied by Owen of Tipperary, and then, well, Brian Hayes didn't give up the ghost there at all, did he? But Robert Doyle, Tip, able to defend as well. Michael Breen. What does Owen Connolly do next? Well, they're working hard just to take the ball out of their own defence. Brian O'Mara. Now they still have possession of the ball. Sam O'Farrell. Well, they're just picking their way through the lines. Dara Stakelin scored in the first half. That one, though, is wide. 10 of them in total.
Yeah, you just saw how, you know, how many passes to create that chance. They did really well, went through the lines, but you need to be putting over every chance.
So Andrew Ormond's in, and this is a huge moment for Noel McGrath. Noel, his 74th championship appearance today. That's a record. Out passing or moving past Brendan Cummins for most championship appearances. Noel McGrath, he was brilliant when he came on last week.
Yeah, what a servant, what a player, and 74 appearances, championship outfield is some going, and he was as good as ever last week when he came on. Imagine he'll still have an influence today, but they're a long way back, and the game is kind of petered out, you know, talking to supporters at halftime. Everybody's so disappointed, you know, travelling down here today, expecting a huge match, and ruined really in the first minute.
Yeah, sure, but follow on now with Jake Morris John McGrath. Now here's an opportunity, and it's hit straight at Patrick Collins. Tip have had a few of those, and just better contact. There was 2, I remember, in the first half. Declan Dalton. Tim O'Mahony. That's not a good ball from O'Mahony, but it was read well by the Tip defence, and it's Robert Doyle in trouble. Alan Connolly wouldn't give up. It's kind of one mistake after another. Tip, well, you can see Mark Coleman's back there as the sweeper again. There's a bit of an audition for the footballers. Ethan Toomey. You can hear the reaction of the Cork crowd.
Yeah, they're not happy. I think Cork just trying to be too perfect. You know, there was a couple of chances there to knock the ball over the bar from win behind.
Jake Morris just managed to take the pace off the ball. There's Jason Ford. Kieran Joyce is fully recovered after the collision with Alan Tynan. Mark Coleman, too many steps, free in Tipperary. So now,
yeah, and you know, it just Andrew Orme is on there, pop it over the bar. You know, keep taking your chances, like to create chance, keep yourself in the game. You never know. It's a long, long way back. Cork are just gone complacent. You can sense the crowd. They're not happy with the maybe overplaying.
So Jason Ford has been very important. These place balls. This is right on halfway. The wind against him. Ford keeps that a little lower, right down the middle. That's flawless. You know, with Darren McCarthy going off after the red card, he's a huge option for them to have. They just don't have to worry about the freeze.
Yeah, he's striking them beautiful, and a couple of beautiful points to play as well, himself and Jake Morris. The only 2 forwards to score, I think, from the starting team.
So they've both scored 3 times in the second half. And now it's Seamus Harnedy. Harnedy gets the shot away and converts. He's had some big moments.
Yeah, and that's it. Just getting their scores that bit easier. Again, Brian Hayes did really well there. He broke the ball down. Harnedy very alert. 4th in play for him now, and
Darry Hogan. Oh, that needed to go out quicker. Kieran Joyce with the catch for Cork. The Cork supporters setting off the flares at the Blackrock end of Páirc Chaoimh again. Michael Breen for Tipperary. And that's right down to where Mark Coleman is. That's a real no-no if they're to try and do some damage on this Cork lead. Seamus Harnedy, it's okay for distance, but accuracy gone, and Tipperary are going to make another change. Seamus Kennedy, another player who had a big influence on the game the last day against Limerick, is on wearing number 20. Alan Tynan's gone off. Alan with a yellow card and got through a lot of work. There's Seamus. Cork are getting ready to make a change. Luke Meade. Jason Ford got a hand on that, and Tipperary secure the ball with their captain Ronan Marr. That was loose. Tim O'Mahony there, but actually this is going to be a free-in for Tipperary. A collision off the ball, foul against Seamus Harnedy. O'Mahony thought he was away.
Bit of a laughter at the ref. Yeah. he's telling Tim O'Mahony that Seamus Harnedy even agreed with him, so that's it was that blatant. So
that was a really good line. Jason Ford again. Ethan Toomey is the Cork player who's going to go off for Luke Meade. So Jason has put that one wide. Look, you can't be perfect all of the time. There's Luke Meade.
Luke Meade's a player that can make a big impact. Ethan Toomey has done really well since he went to midfield from out of the half order. But quiet today. I thought that game when it broke up with the extra man would really suit him, but just we all have days like that.
We sure do. So that has gone really long from Patrick Collins. Tip have, well, initially defended it well. They've problems now with Tim O'Mahony. Reversing backwards, Sean O'Donoghue from just inside Tipperary territory. Wide. Now this good movement picked out by Barry Hogan. That's a good puck out to Jason Ford. John McGrath, 2 goals against Limerick. How they'd love a couple of those now, just to make this interesting and make Cork work a bit harder for it. Niall O'Leary, 2 against 1. Cork have had that advantage at the back so often. Ger Mellerick. Now, Alan Connolly was kind of caught on his heels a bit. Out come Tipperary. Seamus Kennedy. Fresh legs so important. They've played the entire match up to this point with a man less. Here is Jake Morris. Morris spots a gap between the 2 Cork players, then had to get rid of the ball. There was good defending back in there. Morris has got it back again. He's surrounded by Cork players. Morris still going. Unbelievable persistence, resilience. And the point scored by Jake Morris. My word, he deserved that.
Yeah, that was some score. He just showed his pace, his power. As you say, kept at it. It broke. Good defending by Cork, but he got possession again, and that's the power he's developed over the last 2 or 3 years. So hooked there and still got it back and put it over. Great score.
Still they battle away, Tipperary. Mark Coleman completely free. Declan Dalton with Ronan Marr. Cork ball.
I would say Robert Doyle is having some game cornerback. You know, Alan Connolly has a goal scored that was passed across to him, but outside that, he's athleticism and pace, and he's out in front. He's taking that chance. He's going for the ball, going ahead of his man. And been really impressed with him.
Yeah, one of the players brought into the starting team this year by Liam Cahill. Only his 2nd senior championship game. So they've switched up at the back and let Brian Hayes have a lot of space, and that's never a really good idea, but they got away with it, Tipperary. Noel McGrath. Debut was back in 2009. This is his 16th season wearing the blue and gold of Tipperary. That's well defended by Owen Downey, but then Andrew Ormond got stuck in. It's a tip ball. A goal around now for Tipperary would really mix things up, wouldn't it? And the referee has spotted a foul in there. It's going to be a free in, and Jake Morris punching the air. Mark Coleman, I think there's going to be a card as well. Is that the 3rd foul that's gone against Mark Coleman? So there's going to be a yellow card for careless use of the stick against Mark Coleman. Tip making another change. Garrod O'Connor wearing number 24.
You have to say, you said it yourself, that the tip subs, you know, the fresh legs, they've made a big difference. Seamus Kennedy, very experienced. Noel McGrath. This will bring it back to 9.
Yeah.
And Cork just keeping, like, they're not in it. They're 9 points down, but they're giving away so many frees there. And that's silly from Mark Coleman. And picking up the card as well.
20 minutes to go. Jason Ford does not miss those. So 3 goals. Those 3 first-half goals are now the difference between the teams. 3 of them in 11 minutes. What chance of a Tipperary goal? They had half chances in the first half. Here's Seamus Harnedy, and this fella just seems to come up with the important score at the important time. 10 again, Seamus Harnedy.
Just his awareness there of where he was, where the room was. There was only a yard of space to his left-hand side, moved into it straight over the bar. 5 from play. Darragh Fitzgibbon scored another great one after half-time. Those 2 men in particular in the second half standing up.
So that has rebounded out to Declan Dalton, and there's nobody from Tipperary near him. A free shot, and he scored as Declan Dalton. Didn't start the last day. He is determined to be in the starting team when they go away to Limerick on the 18th of May. Here's the Cork change, another one, Brian Roach for Alan Connolly.
Yeah, that's a great score. That's 11 from play from the half-hour line of Cork now. Dalton is 4, Fitzgibbon 2, and Harnedy 5. They've been absolutely lethal.
So Alan Connolly leaves the field. So Sam O'Farrell was free. Now the referee was just telling Barry Hogan to hold on, wait for the blast of the whistle to get the ball back in motion. Tipperary had spread out across the field. That's Noel McGrath. Craig Morgan. That's not a bad ball. Oh, hello, Andrew Ormond. It's all very tight in there. That's called as wide by Patrick Collins, but the umpire's having none of it. And Tipperary get another score. Andrew Ormond.
Yeah, he's been lively. He's very pacey forward. See that he got first run on Niall O'Leary, took it well, cut back inside, nice score.
So Cork able to work the ball up the field. Sean O'Donoghue from Inniscarra. That just sat up beautifully in front of Declan Dalton, and he held on to it too long. The referee, you mentioned it, how hot the referees have been on over-carrying the ball. There's another example.
Yeah, Cork have been penalised a number of times today. Declan Dalton out in front loads of time.
So the referee let that go. Sean O'Donoghue. Luke Mead. That's not a good ball at all. What a catch by Noel McGrath. Down low, and here they come. Jake Morris. Morris taking this on himself, and he just snatched at that one. Doesn't go between the posts. Tim O'Mahony. There's another careless ball, and Cork all the way through this match, some sublime stuff, but they've been careless quite a lot. That's Owen Connolly. Owen got 4 frees against Limerick, and there's one from play.
Yeah, again, tucked away by Cork. You know, no pressure on it all. Owen Connolly comes up over the bar. I think Tip are going to take an awful lot out of this game. We don't know what the final result is going to be yet, but they've battled really, really hard. Full game with 14 men.
They sure have. And they continue to do so. Cork with a healthy lead. We'd just love to see what the Cork reaction would be if Tip got that closer, got the goal. Liam Cahill was certainly up close and personal with Sean Stack, the linesman. So it's a Cork ball. Pat Ryan doesn't look too impressed.
Well, 6 points in the second half against 14 men.
Yeah.
You know, same thing happened against Clare. Just
up to this point, Tip outscoring them by 1 in the second half.
Saw the same in the league final to a lesser extent, the same last Sunday. And they could obviously put a lot more on the board by the end of the game. Patrick Horgan.
Wow, Ronan Marr did all he could. That's their 7th point of the second half.
And you could sense his hunger there to get on the ball. He hasn't been in the game. The ball hasn't been coming into him in the second half. He went and looked for that ball and made it happen.
So McGrath just trying to flick that away from Kieran Joyce. Doesn't succeed. And then he ran straight into Craig Morgan. And there's an ironic cheer from a large section of the Cork supporters here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. So Craig Morgan just had a bit of a grin at the referee. So that was Kieran Joyce.
It's a free. I don't know what the argument is about.
You're not going to have a problem with that, are you? Patrick Horgan. Robbie O'Flynn is going to be introduced for Cork. Patrick Horgan does his stuff at free time. So Tim O'Mahony goes off. Robbie O'Flynn, his replacement.
Yeah, what a player this man is. He's probably one of the unluckiest players in the country with injuries, and but in full flow. You don't want to see him coming if you're getting tired in the last 10 minutes.
That's for sure. Brian Roach involved, and here goes Dara Fitzgibbon. that was Craig Morgan trying to stay with him, and Fitzgibbon has missed that. It was difficult, missed it by quite a distance. Barry Hogan gets the ball back moving again. Seamus Kennedy. Michael Breen. Liam Cahill in the build-up to this game talking about, well, there's been this ongoing conversation with the Tipperary supporters, but saying after last week that Tip followers now have a team they really can get behind. They had that kind of awkward transition period, but this team have battled away.
Yeah, and again you could see in the build-up to that the Tipperary defenders looking up the field, no options, the man miss, and everyone being man-marked obviously with the extra man, and then just a speculative ball in the air. Great take there by Owen Downey, who's had a very, very good second half. And Declan Dalton certainly won't have an issue with the distance. He keeps it on track.
It's a long way out, but he's converted from far longer, and the supporters, you could hear them down behind the goal. They could see the moment he hit it, looking from behind the goal, they knew it was over.
Miles over, you know, he's a massive striker.
So there was a fair bit of movement for Barry Hogan to try and hit about 3 seconds ago, but now it's all covered. But Jake Morris, they managed to open up space in front of him. There's Mark Coleman, the extra defender, has lorded it. Here come Cork, Robbie O'Flynn. O'Flynn has left that one too low and too short. Caught by Barry Hogan. So Barry was not happy with the options up the field, and that was risky for Ronan Marr. Now he needs to get rid of it quickly. Well, they're holding on to it very well. Craig Morgan. Connolly lets it back to Craig Morgan. That's really nice from Andrew Orman. And then they just over-egg the pudding, and out come the home team. Then it's sloppy again. Kieran Joyce. Robbie O'Flynn. Another go at this time. Jake Morris, look at the way he's working back. He couldn't get close enough, but he made the effort and made up a lot of yards, and Robbie O'Flynn has his point.
Yeah, and if he didn't, he was, you know, he was gone straight through on goal. Good work by Jake Morris, but Robbie O'Flynn pops it over, and he's expecting it. In the last few minutes now, you know, it's really got to open up. Tipperary just don't have the options up front, and they're just trying to play the ball around here.
Cork have got the last 4 in a row. Tipperary haven't scored in 6 minutes. Here's Garrod O'Connor. Jason Ford. Yeah. Ford has done his level best to keep Tip as close as he possibly can, but he's had some assistance too.
Yeah, 3 from play. Lovely ball out there by O'Connor.
Strange atmosphere around this stadium. The place was buzzing for hours before throw-in, and things changed utterly with the way the match started. The red card for Tipperary's Darren McCarthy. This was an accidental collision. Ooh. Patrick Horgan will need a moment. So the ball thrown in by Johnny Murphy to restart the game. Seamus Harnedy with Owen Connolly behind him, and Harnedy has missed, surprisingly, but it was difficult from out there. Good catch by Seamus Kennedy. And Kennedy under an awful lot of pressure from Brian Roach. And tipped again. Determined to get out of trouble was Craig Morgan, who's covered a lot of ground and done a lot of good stuff for Tip today. They've got a free, which has now been moved forward to their own 65-metre line. Makes it a little easier for Jason Ford. He is going to take it on. So Ford has got yet another point. They've been so important for Liam Cannell's team.
There's 10 frees, I think, a 3 from play. Super strike, but just Tipperary are looking, they're so good on the ball because they're passing the ball around the back line there, you know, they have no options, and they're Cork putting them under huge pressure, but just giving away a lot of frees, keeping ticking over.
Yeah, but as you say, Michael, regardless of what the final score is, they're going to take an awful lot of positives out of this. And here they come with Brian O'Mara. O'Mara dispossessed brilliantly. That was Dara Fitzgibbon with the touch. Now here come Cork. Brian Hayes. Hayes working off him was Brian Roach, and then Patrick Horgan. Tricky angle, missed. $11 wides for Cork today. Now this could be interesting because there's a bit of space for Owen Connolly. Connolly, that was Seamus Harnedy with him. Connolly moving like an express train and then almost derailed by Mark Coleman. He was derailed and ends up in a harmless effort, which is easily dealt with by Patrick Collins. Kieran Joyce. Decky Dalton has a lot of space. Brian O'Mara there with him. Dalton is going to go for goal. That's a stunning strike from Declan Dalton. Goal number 4. He's had a massive game, and this is well worth another look.
Well, he has, with loads of time on the ball. Owen Connolly lost possession up the other end, but what a finish. That's unbelievable after Hearn. He stood up, Brian O'Mara, there, went around him far too easily, really. He'd be disappointed with that, but Owen Connolly should have killed the ball. We said it in the first half, they got a goal from a ball that wasn't killed. Just kind of harmlessly into the goalie, leaving a huge gap at the back. But in fairness, a brilliant goal.
Noel McGrath had his hands on that. Luke made, sorry, Michael.
Declan Dalton creating a big headache the next day now. Shane Barrett available.
Here he is again. Oh, almost the perfect pass for Robbie O'Flynn, but O'Flynn has got it back off Ronan Marr, and he converts. And the Cork supporters really enjoying this now. It's a big, big lead. But Cork just didn't bother picking up Ronan Marr. And here we go with Andrew Ormond. Forced out a little too wide. Ormond will take his point. And no, he won't, because he's put that one wide.
Yeah, a little bit casual there, but you know, there was a sense of inevitability about it, obviously, for a long time now. But that goal was, you know, maybe threatening. In fairness to Cork, it's hard as well. They were winning well.
Yeah.
You know,
to
keep the game by them to keep going. They're 15 points up now. They've done their job.
They sure have. That's the foul on Ronan Marr. Another Cork change. Kieran Joyce being replaced by Tommy O'Connell from Middleton. So Cork using the opportunity to get minutes into other players on the panel. Willie Connors is now coming in for Sam O'Farrell for Tipperary. Sam O'Farrell put in a serious shift for his team.
They sure did. So did Kieran Joyce. I'd say that's just with Robert Downey injured. Joyce moved in centre back there. It's probably his most natural position. Had a very, very good game, and they're going to take no chances with him when they're winning so well.
Another wide for Tipperary. Patrick Collins. That's Niall O'Leary. And Declan Dalton was being held by Brian O'Mara. Dalton is really quick, and Brian O'Mara having a bit of a laugh with the referee. But Johnny Murphy had eyes on this.
Yeah, he's been very consistent on this all through the game. You know, Annie Holden, he's been given the free, he's given the forwards the...
So Patrick Horgan not being taken off today. He'll play the full 70-odd. You can see the scars of battle on his shins, and that one is wide.
And you can see the frustration, even though they're winning by so much.
Yeah,
he doesn't like missing. Exactly. That's why he's the top scorer of all time in league and championship.
That was Sean O'Donoghue. He's got serious pace, hasn't he? That
massive
was misplaced though. Craig Morgan picks up the loose ball, and now it's Seamus Kennedy. Kennedy has 2 Tipperary players ahead of him. They both went the same way. Jake Morris was one of them. That's Niall O'Leary doing the defending. But now Gearóid O'Connor. And Willie Connors with the score. The Killidangan man. And it was mentioned at half-time about scoring difference, so they're going to lose big, but they've run up a pretty decent total with all the issues they had. Noel McGrath. That is Niall O'Leary, and he certainly has kept going full throttle all the way through this game, like Sean O'Donoghue. Tommy O'Connell for Cork. Off his left, O'Connell made good contact with it. He's looking anxiously after it, but it's a point. Not on the field that long. Another one putting his hand up. I want to start the next day.
Yeah, that came about, I suppose, great cornerback play by Niall O'Leary. You know, 50-50 ball, just shadowed Jake Morris, pushed him off the ball, got it out the field and over the bar.
The referee, I think, is going to add 3 minutes, like he did at the end of the first half. Ronan Marr. That time they get the ball away from the extra man, Mark Coleman. Is there a consolation goal in this for Tipperary? Here's Michael Breen. What's he doing up there? Breen is held back, and Tip don't want to concede a goal. They're happy enough to concede the free out there. Jason Ford just wanted the ball back. So there's confirmation. 3 added minutes. And they've... Jason Ford. There we go. Yet another score. Point number 23. And let's look around us. There's a steady flow to the exits, and that has gone against Ronan Marr of Tipperary. So it's going to be a free in for Cork for Patrick Horgan. So Patrick Horgan missed his last one. Patrick Horgan. Bend, lift, strike, and that one goes between the posts. Craig Morgan. Owen Connolly just been put under all sorts of pressure. But this is Willie Connors. Connors, well, held up by Declan Dalton. Now there is a lot of space in behind for Owen Connolly. He's not going to get away from Dalton, has to go back to Willie Connors, and Connors made good clean contact with that, and it's a lovely score from Willie Connors. They just continue to battle away, and the referee now, I think, has the notebook out. No, it's just a verbal warning for 2 players.
Yeah, I think Tip have battled really, really hard. Yeah. I've said it before, but I think their subs have made a big impact. You know, Andrew Ormer's got a point, Willie Connors has got 2, Noel McGrath's been on an awful lot of ball, Seamus Kennedy's done well. So they've got legs, time into all those players that they just have to take this on the chin.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Now the referee has given Cork a free, but the notebook is out this time. And it's a yellow card for Brian O'Mara. It's been a tough day for Tipperary and their followers who made the journey down to Páirc. That's why the card was given and the free awarded for Patrick Horgan to try and convert. This will pretty much end it. Horgan. You can't score them all. We said the same thing about Jason Ford, but that is converted from Patrick Horgan. And there is the whistle. A big win. A big, big win for Cork. Their first of this year's Munster Championship. Thoroughly deserved, but the whole thing turned on its head right at the very start with the red card.
Yeah, look, Dara, it's an awful pity. The lads analysed it at half-time. Wasn't a huge amount in it, but, you know, there was a bit of a strike, and the way it's gone, you just can't do that. Ruined the whole game, ruined the occasion. 42,000 people here. You know, everyone very disappointed with that. But look, I don't know what you can take out of it. Cork very impressive again. We saw them last week. Like when they're playing at the top of their game, they're brilliant. Tipperary just go away and lick their wounds. But every game can't be a classic in Munster. Last weekend we had 2 draws. Waterford with a very good win today. Cork march on now, and it'll still come down to the wire in the last couple of games. Yeah, it sure will. And Tipperary, they are away to Clare on the 10th of May, Cork away to Limerick on May the 18th. We did see a little conversation there between the Tip manager Liam Cahill and the referee Johnny Murphy. The red card will be a talking point in these minutes and tonight as well. But Cork have won, and they've won well, by 4 goals and 27 points to Tipperary's 24 points.
Oh, thank you, Dara. Thank you, Michael. Yeah, a big win, not quite as big as last year when they were up against 15 men, but Michael wonders, Donalogue, what can you take out of that?
Well, look, firstly, Cork can only play what's put up in front of them. I think, you know, there was lots of their forward movement was excellent at the start of the game. I think they'll be really happy with Patrick Horgan, Seamus Hannity, Declan Dalton was very good. It was great to see Robbie O'Flynn on, again, putting more pressure on the subs there and the players that are playing. We all know it was really disappointing that the game was almost over after the first quarter. I suppose the only thing was in our head was that what happened Cork last week. Cork will probably be saying to themselves, did we get a bit casual in the third quarter? But overall, on they go now. They've got a nice break, then big game against Limerick, and you've got Waterford at home, so they'll be very satisfied.
What about Tipperary? How do you react to a game like that was nearly over before it even began?
Yeah, well, you know, in the league final, they conceded 3 goals in 13 minutes. I think it was 3 goals in 12 minutes today. So, like, you know, 3 goals are really, you know, they were the killer blows. And it was, you know, individual brilliance. I mean, this Cork inside line, we've been talking about them all year. They're a serious outfit. And when they get space, and again, when they play as a team, they're very, very good. So, like, the cohesiveness of that performance early on was very good from Cork. But Pat Ryan will know as well, like, there was periods in that game. I mean, 6 points in the second half, in the first 20 minutes against a team that is down a man, it wouldn't be good enough and is not All-Ireland Championship winning material. But I think you'll be happy knowing that when it needed to be done, they did it. But there's still a work in progress in terms of where they're trying to get to. OK, well, there was another debate over who might be man of the match. Damien O'Mara is going to let us know.
Thanks indeed, Joanne. Yeah, Declan Dalton is alongside me. Declan, you are the Bord Gáis Energy man of the match. Jenny Kelly is here from Bord Gáis Energy with your presentation. Thank you very much, Jenny. Congratulations. An awful lot to unravel, but I suppose from a Cork perspective, Tip opened the door to you and you marched through a very impressive margin of victory.
Yeah, exactly. Look, it was probably very unlucky for him to get sent off that early in the game. Obviously, they did a great draw against Limerick last week when we were watching it after our game, and they've battled very hard, and congrats to them last week, but we just came out on top today.
Did you feel yourselves you had something to prove this week by the nature of last week's result? Was it even more fired up than you might normally be?
Yeah, I think so. Like I think last week we only played for 35 minutes, and then the red card kind of killed us in the second half. But yeah, we had something to prove. Like, we came down, it's our own home patch. We want to keep winning in our home patch, and like the Cork crowd are unbelievable. Like, we see the 16 men here today and women that just drove us on for the whole 70 minutes. Like, and it's unreal to see the Cork fans come out and support us the way they are.
One of the hallmarks, the extent to which the front six contribute to scores, the interplay amongst you. It must be a joy to play in the inside, or well, the half forward line or the inside forward line in this Cork team.
yeah, like we just pride ourselves on working hard, and hopefully on the day it comes off for us. And in the last 2 weeks it has been. But we need to keep working hard, and hopefully that we get the breaks like we did today, and hopefully we keep coming out on top.
Despite that, there will be plenty of areas that you look back upon and say there's more to come in the tank.
Yeah, 100%. Like we played for 20 minutes today, and we went up 10 points, and we came down then, and Tipperary started coming back at us, and we kept it at 10 points. But like we need to keep driving it on there as well, like, and we need to go 11, 12, 13, and we need to driving.
But even psychologically, is it difficult to press on like that when you know you have that margin against 14 men?
It is difficult, like, but you have to keep driving on. It's the name of the game. We want to all score, we want to all shoot, so we want to just try put teams away early, but also we want to stay there for 70 minutes, and obviously with the crowd behind us that we were able to do that. Just to finish, with Waterford winning today, you know, you're in a decent position with those opening 2 rounds. You'll take a lot from it. Yeah, Waterford are a good team, like they won the 1B this year, like they're a very good team, so we'll see them in 4 or 5 weeks. Like we've 3 weeks off now to Limerick, so that's our next focus, is training on Tuesday night and Thursday night, and we'll keep driving on from there. Thanks for joining us. Thanks very much.
Now, as we look at the Munster table, we do wonder how there was such a debate over man of the match when you see the stats come up for Declan Dalton, 8 shots and he scored 1-6. But here is what the table looks like. It is the Rebels who are on top on those 3 points. Waterford, who've only played that 1 game, next best after their victory over the All-Ireland champions earlier on today. Declan Dalton's goal, Henry, I can hardly think of a better person to take us through it.
Well, I was delighted to hear him saying we were forwards, we want to score. That's what forwards are there to do, is to score. And this lad does love scoring. He loves scoring brilliant goals. He got one during the league as well against Clare. But again, probably afforded too much space, cut back to his left-hand side. But it was just, this is what Cork have. There's so much skill and power, and just the way he just flicks the ball in front of him, and just the power in his wrist to get this ball off was just absolutely brilliant, and the keeper didn't even see it. I think it just flew past his left shoulder.
So you're talking about power in the wrist. That is presumably really difficult to execute.
The goal he got in the league against Clare, where he threw it up in front of him, and it was like as if he was hitting it from 50 yards out. Like, he was only about 15 yards, but the power, and that's why obviously what he does add to the dimension of the Cork team as well. When they freeze from 100 yards out, he goes back. He got 2 or 3 of those today. 2. And just brilliant striker.
That seems to be something actually teams need to have in their arsenal at the moment. I know you want to come in and say something else about Declan Dalton, but it does seem to be a huge advantage to teams who have players who can do that.
Oh, definitely, yeah. But the point I was going to make about him, there was a question mark over him a couple of years ago, whether he just had even, we'll say, maybe a question mark over his pace, even his athletic ability there to turn as quickly as he did. Like, that's a serious player that's marking in that situation. But those shots, they're like puck outs, like if you're taking a puck out from a couple of yards. But he's doing it from off balance with one hand, that shot, and to haven't been able to hit such long distance frees, again, it puts pressure on other players who are free takers, but also it takes pressure off of Cork when they know that they can get a free so deep that he can be scoring from that distance. So all credit to him in terms of the progress that he has made over the last couple of years.
You do wonder if it's stereotypes when we say things like to win really well but not really playing great is great for a manager. But how will Pat Ryan view what happened out there today?
I think, when the match was a match, they went and they did the business and created that 10 or 12 point cushion, and then they have a habit of going into cruise control. But again, you know, he will be very happy with the last 15 minutes when they sort of turned it on a little bit again. I thought they varied the puck outs where they went in front of Dara Fitzgibbon. They went long and they knocked it down with Brian Hayes. And again, Robbie O'Flynn coming on the pitch and scoring. Luke Meade made a contribution. Tommy O'Connell got a point. So there was more of a contribution, I think, a bench contribution today than there had been the last day or in the league final. So, and yet he still knows that he'll have a reason to say, come on, there's another level there. And I suppose that's the frightening thing from everybody else's perspective, is that if Cork actually find flow for 70 minutes, some team is going to be in real trouble.
But like 8 days ago, it was all this hype, you know, Mr. Daly and stuff like that. We're hyping up the last. And we're talking here at 4:27, we're kind of a little bit deflated about Cork. But I think they've learned a massive amount. You know, you think about last week, for me, there was 2 things. The physical element that we spoke about for a number of years. The last time I was on this programme, we thought Cork a little bit soft, they don't like it physical. Last week they got a lot of it, and they gave it back, and probably gave it back too much. And I think they'll learn a bit from that. I think last week they talk about the bench impact. I'd say Pat Ryan, his management team after last week, said we brought on too many subs in the forwards too quickly. I'd say they learned a massive amount. And they're sitting here today. The hype has dwelled a bit. They've 3 points. And they're looking very good.
And even just listening to Declan Dalton, and it's very like what Henry was saying there, what does they keep saying every time they're interviewed? Hard work, hard work. It's nearly like the Kilkenny of old.
Yeah, but it was never those, like, where was that hype thing coming from? Like, that was made up stuff that was...
It wasn't
listen to me now. No. Let me make my point on that now, right? So, where that was coming, right, so Cork have a big following. Sure, isn't that great? What's wrong with that? Like, Cork last year in the All-Ireland final could have been doing a lot of talking about that last-minute decision that was made by the referee, right? They could have, if they wanted it. No, they took it, and on they went, put the head down. They put in a really good league in that they won it, right? Last week, they learnt tough lessons in the second half. They turned up here today. Yeah, so we could see some of the points in the third quarter where you could accuse them of being a bit casual, but like they're 10 or 11 points up at that stage, and they finished really strong, right? So I just want to make that point.
Do you know what? I'll let the other two in a moment to debate that, whether there was justified hype or otherwise, but we might find out.
When I have put on that hype. No, I'm coming back to it. I am
but no, the Cork manager is waiting for us.
Well, sure, isn't hype good that we have in this game? The season is compressed enough. What do we want to do? Put a limit on the Cork? More Cork people that can come together?
I'm not coming out with the hype, but I'm saying against Clare and around, they blitz Clare in the league, they blitz Galway in the league, they blitz Tip in the league. That's where the hype came from.
Sorry, Damien, will you please give a big apology to Pat Ryan, who has been waiting to have a chat? Sorry, Pat, it's another Cork man's fault. Here he is now, Pat.
Pat, sorry, we can't get a word in edgeways with the panel. They're so excited of what they've just seen. A lot to unravel. Looking at your body language later on, despite the margin of victory, I think there's a lot in that you'll still want to improve going forward.
Yeah, look, I thought we went away from where we want to play a small bit as well, you know. So, look, there are things that we'll go after. Look, obviously being down a man, as after happened to us in a couple of games in Munster over the last 18 months. Look, it's very hard to win games in Munster. The teams are so good, and the teams are, you know, there's not only a puck of ball between the teams, and look, it gave us a great advantage for the game itself.
The clinical nature of it, that you just seize control, 3 goals inside the opening 17 minutes. You can't ask for much more from your team, can you?
Yeah, look, they went at it hard. Look, as I said, look, there's lots of that stuff that we need to go after again. And look, it's hard backing up 2 weeks in a row, you know. So look, I thought our energy was down a small bit in the second half, but look, we got a good bounce off the bench again, you know. So that was really, really positive. And look, obviously Seamus has, you know, managed to get through 70 minutes as well for us there, and that was a huge part of in us winning as well.
The range of scoring and the extent to which players stand up and spread the scoring around the field, is that something that you've looked at this year, or is that just the nature of the work rate that exists?
No, look, that's the nature of it, like, you know. But look, obviously, as I said, look, we need to be pushing on a bit more as well. And look at how we gave away too many sharp puckouts in the second half to a team that were down to 14 men, and that's an area that we'll work on over the next 3 weeks. And look, try and get our energy back, get our recovery back. We picked up 1 or 2 knocks, couple of dead legs. Look, they should be all right for Limerick game in 3 weeks' time. But look, we'll try and manage that, you know.
Yeah, Robert Downey obviously was quite uncomfortable going off. Is it a concern or just a contact injury?
Just a contact injury, bad dead leg, you know. So look, hopefully, he'll be okay, and we'll drive on with that.
Overall, how satisfied are you with the performance? Like, people will focus on the second half from last week, but what you've got from these opening 2 rounds in a really competitive championship, with time to reflect upon it now, where's the head at?
Yeah, look, I suppose, look, there was a lot said about the game last week. Look, we were delighted with the point we got. It set us up coming down here into our home patch, you know. And look, as I said all along, the Munster Championship was a marathon. You know, we've 3 points, so we've 2 games to come. In 2023, we 3 points and couldn't get out, you know. So, huge game in 3 weeks' time against Limerick, and we look forward to that. And huge game, will be massive crowd up there. Great Cork and Limerick support. So, looking forward to that in 3 weeks' time.
How beneficial, though, is the break now, mentally and physically?
Yeah. Look, it's a long time. Obviously, we were in the league final as well, and then you go 2 weeks later into 2 championship matches. So, it is. Look, this break will give us a great chance to refresh.
Just a final question: the points difference, is that something that you talk to the players about, that it could ultimately be a key factor later in the championship? Is that maybe one little black mark today that you didn't manage to rack up an even bigger score in the second half?
No, look, we haven't even spoken about it. Look, the idea is to win your home games, and obviously the point against Clare was great. So, but we're going up to Limerick the next day, and that'll give us an opportunity to have a real right cut off them.
Thanks for being with us.
No, thanks.
Yeah, so Pat Ryan there, he seems to be very level, as you'd expect. So Donaloe can't understand where the hype is coming from a team who scored 18 goals in the league, absolutely blitzed Tipperary in the final, and were only beaten by a point after extra time in last year's All-Ireland final.
Yeah, well,
have you any clue why?
No, but it's there and it's real. I thought he actually plugged me out there a second ago in case I get a chance to speak. I was watching him here on my left-hand side, but like, the hype is real because they have pace, they have power, they have sorted their spine and their defence. They've got 2 midfielders. Tim O'Mahony's in the form of his life in the middle of the park. They're able to create separation between their half forward line, their inside forward line, and they're moving the ball at pace. And there's periods of that match where they neglected and went away from actually ball in best position, make sure they get it. But overall, it's justified. And like they're up there as All-Ireland, serious All-Ireland contenders. And again, in 3 weeks' time, we'll get to understand a little bit more, because, you know, the one team that they've had, I suppose, the sign over in the last 2 meetings in Championship has been Limerick. So he'll get a real gauge in 2 weeks' time. But if you take the 5 teams in Munster, the team that is looking like they've got 1 foot in the top 3 is Cork.
You want to say anything else before we move on? No, he's waiting. Instead, let's just talk about the 3 weeks, because that sounds, you've obviously both managed at this level. That sounds like 3 weeks would be ideal. Would that be the case?
Well, it would sound like that, but it's a long time, because the games, the split season, they're on top of you so much, and the players are probably used to it, and Cork are young, they're full of energy, so I do that, but I do think it gives you psychologically a bit of a break now, because they had the league final, the emotion of that after that, and they've had the last 2 weeks, so it probably will be good. I think Cork are young and fit, and they've a big depth in their panel, so that's the other plus, I suppose, from a panel point of view. You have the opportunity of internal training games now, and I'm sure Pat will be driving that message.
If it was one of the few negatives, like, it is Robert Downey being worried about, and we saw it there in the second half against Clare, how critical that he is to the team. Even Clare had earlier chances before he was taken off that day. So I think if you had a choice, you would like that 3 weeks now to get a bit of rest time, recharge. We've seen with all the other teams. We saw with Clare today with Tony Kelly being down a player and so on. So I think that will suit Cork.
Well, Cork are now in a good position after this, their first victory of the Munster Championship, adding to that draw they got in Ennis last week. We've lots more to analyse from this performance today.
Will be treated to a luxurious 5-night stay in one of their stylish rooms with a gourmet breakfast each morning. There is dinner too in their stylish 22 bar and restaurant, where you'll taste the finest of local ingredients. And there's plenty to do on site with their deluxe spa, welcoming bars and a stunning 18-hole golf course. Check it out on casanockhotel.com. And so you can explore Dublin, and to go along with your 5-night stay, there's €500 spending money too. For your chance to win, answer this question. Which of these is the current manager of the Kilkenny senior hurling team? Is it Derek Ling or Micheál Donoghue? To enter, call the number on screen or text the word GAME followed by your answer and name to 57886. Maximum cost per entry is €2.50. You must be over 18 to enter. Lines will close at midday on Monday the 28th of April. Full details are on rte.ie/competitions, where the lucky winner will also be revealed.
Air. For more great shows, go to the RTE Player app on Sky.
We have so much more to come for you in the coming days, with the games ahead from 8 o'clock tomorrow. 5 days of the Punchestown Festival gets underway on Tuesday, coverage from 3:30. And it's semi-final time in the Champions League. You can see the first leg of Barcelona against Inter Milan from 7:30 on Wednesday. That's all on RT2. Well, it always looked like this was going to be Cork's day. They are looking for their first Munster title since 2018, and we know they have their eyes on a much bigger prize than that as well, but plenty of smiles after what was a very straightforward victory over 14-man Tipperary in the end. 4-27 for Cork to Tip's 24 points. Here's some of the key stats from throughout that game. Not a huge amount maybe to pick up. Scores from play, 12 from 24 from Tipperary, so the fact they only created 24 maybe, whereas Cork creating 31. Before throw-in though, Liam Sheedy spoke about obviously restarts once again likely to have a huge say. You wanted to pick out one particular score there that perhaps demonstrated this.
Yeah, I think it's just the versatility and just the number of options Cork have on puck outs. But as you see here, Collins looking up, the two wing forwards really stretched out, midfielders are after dropping into the defence. It's just leaving a big pocket of space in front of Darragh Fitzgibbons. Fair Patrick Collins now through a knife, through a needle, could have been intercepted. But when you're hitting the ball up to Darragh Fitzgibbon, watch this touch as Ronan O'Meara comes on his back. Watch the speed of him getting away. And under pressure, Brian O'Meara off his left-hand side on back foot over the bar. So, you know, when you have that kind of brilliance, and he has been a major addition putting him centre forward, because he causes all sorts of issues for a team out in front of them and when he gets in behind you as well. So it's just a marvellous score. And that's what Cork can do so well.
And that's kind of what Liam was suggesting before, and the variety of being able to change your puck outs. It must be so difficult for the opposition coming down and not knowing which way they're going to go.
Well, definitely. I think if it was one thing from the All-Ireland final last year afterwards, you might say that Cork went maybe kind of route one, bombing the ball down. Yeah. But again, like a lot of credit to Patrick Collins. This time last year, Patrick Collins was getting a lot of grief over different things. I think that he's been a huge factor in terms of Cork becoming more consistent with what they're doing. I know it's everybody seems really focused now on the goalkeeper and on the puckouts, even more so than the time that we were involved. But there's good reason, because it has such an influence on the overall game. So he deserves, that was brilliant touch by Fitzgibbon and a brilliant example of class skill on move, because it almost looks simple, but with like sort of a guy like Mara that close to you, that is not simple. But I do think Patrick Collins deserves a lot of credit also.
Equally, I do think the job was made easier for Patrick Collins. Like when you're a man down, like it is very, very difficult. I mean, these goalies are so good, and it was really difficult to Barry Hogan, because you have the extra man, you know, and you're able to create that +1 because you have the free man. So that skews it a little bit. And as I said, I have no doubt there was a lot of homework done, but it did make it very difficult when you go down a man to retain your own puck outs.
Do you want to have another little fight with Donal Logue?
We love an old good fight here.
One of you does anyway.
Yeah. But I mean, suppose, look, I was putting myself, if I was standing on the sideline down there and I seen some of this stuff going on, I would be livid. You know, there was times there where they really had chances to really, you know, make the right decision. And, you know, we talk a lot about making the right decision. I mean, here's Ethan Toomey. You know, that ball, Brian Hayes is right there in front of him. That's a simple pass into Brian Hayes, and the ball's gone over the bar. That's sloppy. Likewise, the ball back, you know, I don't know, Sean, I don't know, there's two players directly in front of him that either one of them could have got the ball. And a cornerback give the ball out, you know. And I thought a lot, and this was in that 20-minute period where they only scored 6 points. You know, Mark Coleman had made the run, so he was gone for the extra man. There was another one that Mark Coleman had, and Declan Dalton was out here in front of Pat Ryan, all on his own, and didn't get the ball. Not only small things, but I sensed it slipping into their play at the end of the first half. It carried into their play at the start of the second half, and I think it's something that when you get to the high end of this championship, your decision making has to be spot on, and I think Cork was a little bit off today in my view. And it's always borderline, is it? Is the decision making or is the showboat?
Borderline when you were in here, you shouted out the word showboat a couple of times.
There was an element of it, you know, and maybe that's to do with the hype as well. I don't know.
Well, I can't remember which one of you said if that was Limerick, they'd have piled on the goals and piled on the scores.
Yeah, but you do like that the teams do carry that killer instinct, that when there is the chance there, that they do keep going, that they keep rattling the scores. So you get that fully. Brian Hayes. It is a thing that you see in a lot of games. You see it on every level. Is that players maybe shooting too much from distance rather than the danger of leaving it in. Like Hayes gave a really nice ball to Dalton out here in front of the line. Patrick Horgan was one-on-one inside, and you could see Hayes straight away onto Dalton saying, "Geez, why didn't you just let that in?" So look, it's good that there's plenty of opportunity for improving from a Cork point of view, by the sounds of things.
Well, isn't that what Limerick introduced, though? That, like shooting, the more shots you get off, the more chances you're likely to convert something.
Yeah, I think there's a big focus now, and Donal just referenced the number of shots you get away, But you look at Tips shots. Tips were shooting from outside because they didn't have the bodies inside. They couldn't get the ball, and that's the great thing about Cork. What the evolution of the game now is that Cork have gone back to the 3 men inside. No one else is really playing it, really at that strength. So they are. So what Ethan Toomey was trying to do, he's so used to getting his head up in midfield. He's not a shooter. He needs to get the ball into the full forward line. Obviously, for some reason, Cork had really came out there. So I think Cork are changing a little bit, and that's why they're scoring so many goals, because they're getting the ball inside and they have some brilliant players inside. And one man we probably didn't touch on too much, who's moving so well is Patrick Horgan. He's like a new player again. He scored 1-9 today. You know, I think it was 3 points from frees or 6 points from frees or something like that. He's moving so well. And, you know, we spoke about Noel McGrath, we spoke about Stephen Bennett earlier on, and he's still flying it for Cork.
And we'll be talking about them again. Just before we move on to Tipperary, when you were managing Galway, was the number of shots you got off something you took into account, and it was something you analysed?
Yeah, so say Cotton Mannion is one of the best strikers in the game. He's playing brilliantly again this year. It's brilliant to see. So he's someone you want to get out in the middle third because he's such a good shooter. So it would have been, and especially coming up against the Limericks of this world, it's a big focus. You need to try.
Did you have a target number?
We had a target number. We'd love to be hitting over 40. If we could get up to 50, that would have been it, yeah. But as I said, there's a lot of dimensions to it, and you need to be in control of the game to get that shot count up. Cork controlled the game today, that's why there are more shots.
It's very interesting because the next phase then is your phase of productivity with that. Because like whatever we're getting off all those shots, you need to be able to producing at the end. Like today, Cork had lots of more possessions and they got off 45 shots. Tip had less possession and still got off 42, but Cork's productivity was way higher.
OK, well, we're going to hear from the losing manager now. It's such a difficult day for Tip. Here is Liam Cahill.
Liam, no shying away from it, a difficult afternoon.
Yeah, difficult afternoon for sure. You know, Cork superior again, you know, really cutting holes open in our defence, and you know, goals again win matches, don't they? So you know, it's a big ask again for us now to pick ourselves up after today and get ready for 2 weeks' time in Ennis.
Ultimately, do you have to reflect on a contest that was nearly gone away from you inside the opening minute with the sending off?
Yeah, well, we'll have to take that into account too, to be fair. You know, whatever chance you have with 15, 14 makes it all a bit more difficult. But again, really proud of the way our guys, you know, stayed chipping away at the scoreboard all day, stayed working hard, stayed trying to do the right things on the ball. And you know, with a team like Cork, with their superiority in their speed and their movement, and with a numerical advantage as well, it was always going to be a big ask, especially after being down to 14 players.
It's a big occasion for all players, but particularly a young player making a second championship appearance. But the adrenaline can't let the composure slip away, can it?
No, but Darren McCarthy's a very, very good young player, and he's going to be a big player for Tipperary into the future. And look, today was Munster Championship hurling. There was you know, I'm sure if Johnny Murphy was able to look at maybe 15 other positions on the field, I'm sure there was plenty going on there as well. So credit to young McCarthy. He's a good lad, and he'll recover from that well. And you know, it's a big day to have something like that happen for a youngster. So
from a performance perspective, created an awful lot of chances, but maybe the execution not at the level that you would want it to be at or that you need it to be at.
Yeah, I think there was two fairly obvious goal chances just you know, in the first half that would have kept us in the game. You know, number of scores maybe went a begging as well from general play, and that's something we will be looking at to try and improve our efficiency on the ball and our conversion rate for sure.
You will take positives though from aspects of the performance, and listen, the safety net has got smaller, but you still have a big story to tell in this championship.
Yes, we have. Look, there's two massive games ahead. Providing we're able to go to Ennis and get something, it's knockout hurling really now from now on. 2 weeks' time we'll be knockout in Ennis for both teams, so that'll be a ferocious encounter, and we have to, you know, get over today, dust ourselves down, really go back and look at the areas we have to go after, and be in as good a shape possible going to Ennis to take on the All-Ireland champions.
Just to finish, what's the overriding message you try to deliver then to a group? What's the main thing they need to take away from Cork today?
I think again today it's a big step in their journey. They met a different sort of, I suppose, obstacles today. You know, I think the one heartening thing for me again is the honesty of these players in the dressing room. You know, fighting uphill battles, still rolling up their sleeves, working really hard, and trying to keep that scoreboard ticking over to keep down the score difference as well, which ultimately could come into play before this round robin is over.
Thanks for your time, Ian. Thanks for coming out.
No problem.